Now, the health sector in the country currently, we can say that it is not in a good condition. Now, to begin with, the doctors are on strike. Patients outside there are really suffering, and the government, both the government and the doctors, are holding the hard lines. Now, this is what is happening in the country. Now, the doctors are demanding that the agreement that was signed in 2017 to be honored. And the government is saying that this kind of an agreement, it is really insane. Like, they don't believe that that is achievable. The conditions, some of the conditions that the doctors are raising is that they have to, the interns have to be taken in, and the salaries that were signed during that agreement have to be maintained. Now, the fact here is that the number of interns right now has gone up compared to the past years, because there are more students who are taking the same course, and there are more interns actually now being released, both from the public and the private universities. Now, before we dissect this issue here at C45 TV, kindly make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment, because that is the best support that you can give us. Now, what is the state of the health sector right now in Kenya? Now, patients are dying in the hospitals. Some of them are in pain. Some mothers are not delivering the way they're supposed to do because of lack of doctors, especially in the public hospitals. Now, also now the health has become very expensive, because you realize that the treatment, the free or maybe some affordable treatment that is also always in the public hospitals cannot be achieved right now, because most of the patients move to the private hospitals, which are very expensive. That is going to make Kenyans poor and poorer, especially now in these times where we have very tough economic times. There are some things that the government needs to be aware. Before we go what the government needs to know about the doctors in the country, first of all, let me take you through the journey the doctors undergo before becoming qualified doctors to serve in the public and the private sectors in the country. These people undergo education for 6 years. In these 6 years, they undergo very serious training, very serious exams, and most of them excel, and now they are released to the government as interns, where after undergoing that process of internship, they later on get recruited as now doctors in various hospitals within the country. Now, what is the government missing in this kind of a period? The government is missing the fact that when an intern is in the hospital working, or maybe serving there by treating patients, it's very hard for a common person, a civilian, to tell this is an intern. Why? Because of the amount of work that the doctors, especially the interns, do in the hospitals. These are the people who are mostly available in the hospital, because our doctors have various appointments in very many hospitals, but the interns only work in the same hospital that they have been admitted for internship. Therefore, the demand that the interns are raising of 206,000 shillings, honestly, it cannot be reduced to 70,000. That one is a no. Why? These people do a lot of work than even the doctors that are employed. The few permanent or maybe employed doctors, and that is very little. They do a lot of work just like other doctors could do. Therefore, the 206,000, that one they deserve. If the government is supposed to reduce, let it be a very small amount, maybe even 150, that would be okay. Because these people undergo a serious training and they do a lot of work in the hospitals. Perhaps it might not be clear on the process people undergo in the hospitals to be treated. Then we can send the cabinet secretary and a commission to go and see the condition patients are in hospitals, the kind of medications they need, the kind of treatment they require, because you find people in serious conditions to an extent you even start wondering whether these people will come out of these hospital beds. Simply because we have doctors, we now gain the courage and be hopeful that these people are going to come out of that hospital. Even if it's the CS, the public service, head of public service, maybe the solicitor general, or anyone else gets sick, this person is going to face the doctor, and his life or her life will be entirely on these doctors. Therefore, this is a person who should be respected and actually cared for than any other person. Now, I don't feel that the government should feel pain to pay these doctors. Why? Whenever they needed, particularly during the COVID-19, they gave their best services ever in the country. That means this was the time to pay back, give them their salaries, and ensure they are well taken care of. Actually, the 206,000 they're demanding is not even enough. If you check the kind of living standards some of these doctors undergo, the loans they have, and the serious needs they have in their families, 206,000, honestly, is not even enough. Considering their training, Now, the doctors should be paid well in this country. We had doctors that were imported from Cuba. These doctors were paid very huge amounts of money and given even security plus houses, vehicles, and other things. Our doctors just asking 206,000, not a vehicle to move with it around. Just 206,000 that they should be given. That they should be given. Now, there are things that are concerning to the public right now. The people running the government, particularly the public head of public service, some other leaders, it is like being what the doctors are asking for. It's not required. It's not necessary, or it's an offense. They are addressing the issue of doctors in a way that it looks that they are sad, they are bitter about it. The doctors are doing their constitutional thing, going for what they deserve, going for what they had agreed with the government. Now, the aspect of government being very strict on the doctors simply because they are young, that is not acceptable. The government must sit down, reason with these doctors, and agree, even if it's a gradual increment of this money they're saying, it's achieved. We have to have our doctors protected in all ways. In all ways. So the interns should be given at least 150,000 shillings. Personally, that's what I believe in, because these people do a lot of work. And then the other conditions they have, if they are not necessary, that one we can say maybe they can adjust also to some extent to allow the doctors to go back to work. But on the interns, these are the people that this video is really asking the government to consider. They do a lot of work, and at least 150,000 should be their salaries. Make sure that you keep subscribing, liking, and comment, because that is the best support that you can give us. Let's save the health sector.